Hello and welcome to another episode of The Common Legend, where tonight I have my friend Tory
Paino is my given name.
Paino.
That's my real me.
Tory Paino.
I respond to anything.
How you doing tonight, Tory?
I'm hanging in there, man.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're
I really appreciate it. So Tory's today's legend. So Tory, where are you from?
Where am I from?
Yeah,
the easiest region to say is like I'm a Midwestern emo boy.
Okay.
So like I was born in Canton, Ohio, Reliant K. I don't have any memories there. I moved to Carmel, Indiana, basically the Edina of Indianapolis, and had my whole basically became conscious, have memories around age 4, and then up till age 10, lived in the Edina of Indianapolis on the north side. It's called Carmel. If you Google Carmel, Indiana, you'll be like, oh crap, it's Edina. And so that's where I lived my early years, and then we moved to Minnesota in '96, before my 5th grade year, and then I've been in and around Apple Valley, Minnesota for basically the last 3 decades. I spent 3 years in the south side of Chicago, but for the most part, Apple Valley, Minnesota by the zoo is my home base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So you say we moved here. Who's we?
So we is my biological family. My father, mother, still married, living in the house we moved in '96.
Must be fucking nice.
They're from what I know of them, and I know a lot, they're good Christian American parents. My dad was a youth pastor in my childhood and went on to teach youth pastors at North Central University. So he's a good man in his own kind of frame. Mm-hmm. And my mom's a middle school teacher, an English middle school teacher for 20 years, at the middle school, in our backyard.
That's super American dream.
No, it's very apple pie. And I'm a hipster, so being this cliche actually causes me pain.
You guys should fight.
Oh. Yeah,
instigating.
Yeah, I hate not having I do have trauma, but my trauma is white boy in Apple Valley trauma. You know what I'm oh no, girls made me kiss them longer than I wanted to when I was 15. That kind of trauma was my kind of first.
There is a lack of trauma guilt thing.
I've had
Community had an episode about it where Troy didn't have enough karma in the acting class. I don't know if you're familiar. He makes up the story. Yeah, we won't get into it. So only child then, or?
I mean, no, I would so I had an older sister and a younger sister. So I'm what I tell girls on dating apps is I know every guy says this, but I'm very connected. Actually, using the word sensitive is better. Yeah. So if you say guys, this is a secret. So this is the real Tory, and only use this for good. If you say that I'm sensitive to the divine feminine, you're melting hearts, you guys. You know what I mean? Not panties, sometimes panties, but mostly hearts. If you want a girl to be maybe this guy's real, say I'm sensitive to the divine feminine. And if you really are, they'll believe it. If you're a liar, women can sense it.
It does work. I like to be more cryptic about it because I don't want everyone to know that because you get taken advantage of.
I'm the opposite of cryptic, and I do like getting taken advantage of.
I'm also the middle child between 2 girls, mama's boy, so I feel you, man.
No, we're appropriately connected to the divine feminine.
I made the joke once on a dating app. I was I hate to say this, but I'm a good guy. Yeah. And I was I hated typing that, but I hate that.
Just nice guy in neon
I'm a nice guy.
I hate the word nice.
I know.
There's 3 words I hate right now, and I haven't made a premise on stage with this yet. It's I like the premise so much that I'm hiding it for a while. Think of it like molding clay. Sometimes you're just walking through a creek and you stumble upon clay, and you're sometimes you're do I have time to grab a lump of it and do something with this today? And if it's no, you're will I remember where the you go through this kind of kid list of hierarchy of needs, and you're this clay's dope, that this is a cool find in nature, how do I capitalize on it? And sometimes you make the pot and set it on the driveway, and maybe it gets kind of hard enough to have a bowl of cereal in.
Now, do you mean literally capitalize, creatively, or
just
creatively?
For me, it's always emotionally first. Will this satisfy my psyche for a moment? Okay. And then because of the society we've all been raised in the America or the world, or the global. I don't care what anybody believes. I really don't.
Got to work with what you get.
Yeah, we all I heard this horrible street joke. It's not horrible actually. There's a Hispanic man and a white dude talking in a bar in Tijuana. I know. I'm telling the white boy's perspective. No, this is a slight on me.
Careful. Okay.
I'm the butt of this joke, guys.
Right.
You are too.
Okay.
And I'll keep it short. But basically they're talking and they're just kind of having a bro moment on different sides of the fence. You know what I mean? Like Tijuana, San Diego, it doesn't matter where the joke takes place because it didn't really happen. It's, spoiler alert for non-comedians.
No way. Most jokes don't happen.
Most jokes don't really happen in the exact way the comedian is telling them that. Like most things did happen slightly.
Wait, are you saying movies are the same way?
A version of events based on a true story is all I'm saying. Okay. So so this Hispanic they're talking and the white guy's like, no, the Hispanic guy's like, yeah, man, my dad just wake up and I go fishing and I catch some fish and I bring it home and like we kind of make tacos for lunch and then something bigger with the fish for dinner and we just like corn, like it's the same thing every day, but like I get to hang out with my family all day and I kind of am just with the boys for a few hours in the morning fishing and getting what we need. And the white guy's like, but what if you like got some of your friends to do it too, and then like basically
hired them and
created like a corporation in a moment? So that's like you can make the joke long with like how detailed. So I'll skip all that stuff, say less, and then he's like, and then the Hispanic man's just like, well, for what, man? Like, what for what? I have a horrible accent, so I'm not gonna try. But like, for what? For what? And the white dude's like, well, because then once you like build the corporation, you've like done coke and hookers for 30 years and been divorced 4 times, like then you can relax with your friends and go fishing in the morning and then like eat your fish. And the Hispanic guy's like, go for it, man.
Yeah, sure.
Like you got this. Like you can do it, brother. I mean, and like you know, like they just like end up on the different sides of the fence, but like there's a knowing on the Hispanic end where he's like, this is just our roles right now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because we didn't really have a choice, and it touches on something where like we could look down on societies like that because they're lesser than, but they're living like in more fruitious ways.
Just if they're not hurting themselves or somebody else, like why can't we just let people like have their
hard questions? Are you racist?
I mean,
no, you don't have to answer that. I was
given. No, I'll answer
I don't
that.
think
I'll
you
answer
are.
that with a real story. So I'm white. I'm 39. Like I'm aware of my privilege, but I'm like working on it.
Okay.
So like I'm a work in progress. Everybody, if I'm pretending I'm really prideful, like that is to make up for like how I have to wake up every morning and remind myself that at my minimum, all I am besides like breathing. So the first thing I need to add, there's 2 things I add to my like existence every morning when I wake up from my like big sleep. And it is, I'm unique fingerprints and I'm slightly aware that I exist. And I start every morning. So my mindfulness grounding technique. Beginning. So like breathing is a given. Like
where's coffee fit into that?
No, like immediately after actually. No, like it's a tight 3.
It's after, not before.
So it's on the Rushmore, but it's like 3rd or 4th. Like it depends on where. Like peeing is always a big thing after like the whole fingerprints thing. Yeah. But like if I start there, then I like my challenge every day is like, how do I go to sleep like a superhero today and not a supervillain or whatever? Yeah. Like, and that's probably the bipolar. Here we go. The intro's over.
No, we're not. We'll get there. Let me touch on something else. So you mentioned you're working on a stage set. So like, what do you do for a living?
So I actually like this is gonna sound weird. I'm modeling my life after what I think the uber rich do, and I have been for 3.5 years.
It's faking it till you make it.
It's working better than I'm letting on, is all I'm saying.
So when you say you're modeling your life after the uber rich, it means like what you're spending, how you want to, you're doing what you want to, you're going where you want to. At
like most of the like again, I don't want to give a firm percentage, but like the majority of my time that isn't allocated to like I have to is my own, and I'm kind of doing really cool stuff.
So how long have you been doing that?
Since my separation.
Okay. And your separation, you mean from your wife?
From my wife, yep. Okay. So I was in a monogamous relationship. I was a youth pastor. We can get into it. Like I can say less about all like the second I say things. So like the finer details, like married at 23, first child at 25, monogamous the entire, like on my end, I'm admitting to like full on monogamy. There was some pornography addiction. There was some chatting at different points, but like no action by me or even like crossing like a digital line. Like there was like flirtation online, but like so that was like the level of infidelity I was at, but like purely physically and mostly emotionally monogamous for 15 years from 20 to 36.
That's huge.
I pastored at multiple churches in the Midwest outside of Chicago, Monticello, Northfield, volunteer, Stillwater, volunteer, went to college here. So like I am ingrained in certain like denominations of like Christianity, like all through the Midwest. My last name can get me into places.
Okay, let's go back to the marriage though, real quick. So you said you've been living this lifestyle since your separation. When was the separation? Like, so September, first step. Like, when did you leave the house?
September 2021. So we were a typical pandemic mental health divorce.
COVID, me too.
So up in the Iron Range, Gilbert, Minnesota is where we were living.
Okay.
And her, like my ex-wife, who I love and appreciate, we're different. It's fine. We'll figure it out. Yeah. That's all I want to say. But like, yeah, we moved up there for the pandemic to like get away from the chaos of the cities. I just left the ministry, was working at a tech firm in Minneapolis. It went full remote almost immediately in mid-March 2020. The second it went remote, we're like, let's get out of here. And within a week, we were living with her parents in Eveleth, Minnesota. So March 2020, we lasted a little over a year and a half there, and then everything hit the
COVID
fan.
fucked everything up
Yep.
for everyone.
Because I had just left the ministry, and instead of deconstructing my religiosity and like my indoctrination, and I'm not going to get into that too much because everybody, there's a shade of good in everything. So I don't want to disparage right now. I want to uplift with everything I say. And in comedy, I disparage a lot.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
And here I would like to like be the normal Tory of like,
Yeah.
I'm a silver linings guy through and through.
Totally.
So when I'm really me, like I'm the happiest, easiest to talk to. Usually the one talking.
I know. That's why we got to know each other. That's why we met.
Like, and we took turns. We're gonna get better at taking turns.
Yeah, we will. I
want to be the guest that he brings back when his ratings slip. Like, oh, the legend
right,
Tory.
If you guys want Tory back, throw it in the comments. Be like, we love Tory.
That is
we
my
want
only
Tory.
goal. There's no money exchanged
No,
here.
no. I'm doing this for free.
Me too.
Don't expect anything.
I'm
ever.
just saying, like, if I can just be the dude where you're like, man, we need some weird energy. Like, is Tory in town? Like, I want to be that guy for your podcast.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep you. I'm
No,
keep you on
I'm
my
dead
mind.
ass. Like
Okay.
once every
I'm
3
gonna call you
months,
up on it.
like as my mag.
All right. So separation was September 2021. So since then, you've been living this like
So
rock star-esque lifestyle.
Yep.
How do you sustain that? Do you have a trust fund? Do you save up? Like,
so upon my separate, this is the weirdest part of the story. And so these are straight facts from my version. Guys, I know everybody's heard different versions of this, but like
from your
this,
perspective.
from my this is my side of the story, whatever you want to determine that to be. So we separated in like late September. Like there was a phone call. I had my first grippy sock vacation. I
love those.
I left the Hibbing Hospital at the earliest.
your first one.
My first at 36.
Okay.
Like shortly after my the month after my 36th birthday.
Okay.
So like I don't know if I want to tell. Yeah, I've shortened this. And so my ex-wife and I lived in a small house that her uncle and aunt bought because they didn't want somebody that like would cook meth in the basement to buy.
Fair.
This is legitimate. Like this isn't a bit. It sounds like
Well,
a
you
bit.
just like hold down the space.
So like they were using it as a storage unit for like 4 years because they bought it for like $12,000. You get what I'm saying?
Motherfucker.
Like it's Gilbert,
Yeah.
Minnesota. There's 600 people there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you like
And in the
like,
cities, that'd be like
if you
half a
don't
mil.
know if you don't know about the Iron Range, like be careful, but like experience it.
Yeah, there's
like,
a lot of meth.
like
dealers
it's like
on the
Branson,
Iron
Missouri. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's good spots, but
Yeah,
like there's
yeah.
also like a seedy underbelly, and
Yeah.
like if you like encounter that, like it's usually fun to like giggle and then run.
Yeah, laugh
Like,
your way out
yes,
of the room. Yeah.
absolutely. Like get the creepy smile and don't do the Minnesota goodbye where you're like
No,
playing
just
defense.
run,
like
run.
slowly saunter towards the
As soon as they
nearest
look the
exit.
other way,
Yeah,
dip.
motorcycle clubs, cops, like owners of wherever you're playing. Like just don't anybody that has like the littlest amount of authority in the Iron Range, like don't like purposely like step up to them. Like they're the kings of like their little castle, and their family's
People
been like
disappear on the Iron Range.
like I'm not saying that, but I get it. I
disappear
feel,
on the
and I'm
Iron
saying
Range.
like everybody's got like a pretty solid like century-long kingdom going, like family bloodline stuff. Like I'm not talking about like feudal Japan, but you get me.
yeah.
Like there's a upper Midwest Iron
Heritage.
Range flavor of like living that's like not thriving right now, but like existing for
Won't go away
a
ever.
couple hundred years or
Yeah,
whatever.
probably will
like
never go away.
Polish saunas and like we make fun of them, but like they're kind of awesome people. They're kind of dwarven almost.
Even the worst people, like there's some good ones of
They're like tall dwarves. Like
So you
drunk.
move
Sorry,
into
I'm
your
sorry.
aunt's family's house
Let me make
before
a
your
joke.
grippy.
Let me make
okay,
a
go
joke.
for it.
I just think calling the Iron Range like if we were in Lord of the Rings, like they're kind of like a dwarven mining people. Like there's mines up there, and they love fishing and drinking and like almost making out with your cousin. I don't know.
So if the map of Middle Earth was just Minnesota,
Yeah, like we should
the
do
Iron
that.
Ranch
That's
would be
it.
the dwarven.
Next time I'm gonna get no. I'm
that'd
gonna
pop
actually.
on Etsy.
I have friends that would do that. I have an
Yeah,
engraving.
that'd
friend.
sell on Etsy. Do it for every state.
I will get one this big, and we'll do a Middle Earth style where
Sweet.
we attribute fantasy
So
races.
where would Mordor be?
Oh my god,
North side right now, where we are.
No, is it St. Cloud or is it North Minneapolis?
I think it's North Minneapolis.
What do you
is
think
Mordor.
the epicenter of evil is for the Minnesota? This is a great question, by the way. You should ask these
I
questions.
think North Minneapolis. If I have
But
to
where?
say.
Give me a crossroad. Like where's the pit to hell here?
I'm
Where
new to
is-
North Side. I don't know.
where's the
Broadway and
lava
something.
pit? Is there water that could
Broadway
be the
and
lava pit?
something.
Could
Fremont.
we should
There are
make-
literally cops 6 blocks over on Fremont right now carrying bodies up from a mass shooting today.
Today?
Earlier
Today?
Yeah, it's a regular event.
I love the MIVs.
I have to say it's Mordor.
Do you know, I'm going to tell one more secret
Okay.
about the MIVs. Give me 20 seconds. So this is one of my. I'm a character no matter where I'm at. And I do this alone, and I've never told any of these stories on stage or filmed them, but like I could at any point. So do you know who the MIB guys are?
Men in Black, of course.
Explain that. You explain that.
The Men in Black.
No, the real ones. The real ones in the city.
Oh, I don't know. There's real ones, like actual Men in Black.
Legitimately.
Make you forget.
So this is all I know.
Flashy thingy.
I don't
noisy
use
cricket.
I don't use kind of. So I don't use Wikipedia much because it's all like changed. So like I've stopped using the internet except to like pretend I'm trying to be an influencer. So like
Right.
I know like social media better than I should, but I'm using it sarcastically. Do you get what I'm saying?
That. We're gonna touch on that.
Oh
Yeah.
God! Oh no!
We are.
So like okay, if you follow on like I have like 9 Instagrams and I'm learning like Snapchat and TikTok and things are like kind of going up and down, but I don't care either way. But like
You're just doing your thing.
Sometimes I'm like, what if I pay 90 cents for like a 6-hour promo and I get like 4,000 hits on TikTok and it's like my first video that got over like 1,000, and then all of a sudden like I'm getting 1,200, and like how neurotic my mind works. I'm like computing all these
Breaking
kind of
down analytically.
and I'm like, so I'm never paying.
You see the math problem.
So I've probably paid maybe $2 or $3 total, and like, but so all social media is designed to pay to play. It's just like radio was in the 90s, where you're like, oh yeah, I love Motley Crue. It's like, do you know how much the record labels paid the radio stations to get Motley Crue's like whatever like biggest hits like or first album like play on K-Rock
Gotta
in
pay
LA.
for exposure.
So like that's happening like that, like, and they're selling it to us and we're buying it.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be famous. I'll spend $20.
All right, can we circle back to social
sorry.
media?
Oh, sorry.
So you say you moved in before
You're
your first psychiatric commitment. You moved into your aunt's house, and you're telling me what led to it. So the events leading up to the commitment.
So yeah, so pandemic, trapped in like a home. I'm a social butterfly. I hadn't deconstructed from being a pastor for most, like paid pastor, but volunteer and paid for most of my life, but like specifically salaried for like 7 to 8 years. So like that was my career through my late 20s to early 30s. So like kind of the prime of my life I wasted working in churches and gave up like kind of a,
You didn't waste it.
I know, but a high paying trajectory job at like Wells Fargo Home Mortgage is what I
Fuck
left.
that. Fuck
But I'm saying like,
I get
like
it.
I've played this out a million times. So
Oh,
one
shit.
of
Fuck it.
one of
Oh,
my
shit.
scenarios. So if I didn't choose going into the ministry at like 27 or 28, like I would have probably been making like 200 to 300,000 as like a high level manager in the Wells Fargo system by this age, and been like fat and happy and kind of like living the perfect time.
Can we talk about this more
Yeah,
and circle
yeah.
back to
Oh,
the
yeah.
mental health stuff?
Yeah.
So what was it? Your father who got you into the pastoring scene?
In 1 month, my ex-wife and I, and we'd had a pretty typical relationship, just like kind of got married young, had kids quick, but like we're trying to figure it out and thought we were strong enough to do it. And so she kind of sat me down at this point in our marriage, and this was early on, we had young kids, and she was like, she just said it one time, and I remember exactly where we were and how she said it. She was like, I kind of always thought I'd like be married to a pastor. And like,
That's an odd thing to say.
so like, that's like a highlight. That's a core memory.
I always
for me.
thought I'd be married to a porn star. Putting it out there.
And
If
so, like,
it works.
and so this is like like 4 to 6 years into my marriage, or no, because I got married at 23, so this was probably like
Okay.
27.
So what were you doing up until that point then?
I was like just like I was doing human services, but I was only making
Okay.
like $11 an hour. So I've done like day programs, schools, group homes, and like I could just never crack like
Did you go to school for
12.
that then?
I went to school for youth development and business administration at a private Christian college in downtown Minneapolis.
St. Thomas?
North Central University.
Okay.
So it's Assemblies of God. It's one
Okay.
of their kind of regional schools. So most of their schools are like Northwestern, North Central, or Southwestern, or Southeastern.
So you got the degree.
Oh yeah, I have a
Okay.
bachelor's degree.
So then
in
your
that.
wife says, I kind of always. So your father was already a pastor,
So
but your wife was like,
he had been a pastor, and we moved to Minnesota, so he switched from being a pastor. So he was a youth pastor for like 5 to 7 years, became a senior pastor, kind of failed miserably, and then took a job at North Central. So from Indianapolis suburbs to Minneapolis to work at North Central and teach people how to be youth pastors.
Okay.
So he like basically created the youth ministry and youth development program
That's smart.
that me and my older sister went through in grad. So my older sister
really?
my older sister was the first youth development major grad, and that was her dad's.
might be a little nepotism there.
Correct.
Okay.
So like we haven't even
okay,
started.
yeah,
No,
okay.
yeah. Do you go? So
Yeah.
like, and so I was basically like the boy version of Tiffany Paino. Like I was Tracy Paino's only son, the heir to his throne, and I was like the Christian rebel. Was like the role that like I just normally played without even thinking that it was like a role.
So your wife put the worm in your ear. You already had the in.
My
and
dad-
you were kind of
so in
not
this-
satisfied with your career already.
I just never felt love. So like
Yeah.
I'm a huge like I love words of affirmation. Like basically just keep reminding me that like you like me, and
You're doing great, and I love you.
Thank you.
You're
So
very-
like,
I'm so
like,
proud of
if you want me to be your best friend, and honestly, like this is a secret. I don't do felonies, but like if you want like dopamine, caffeine, or nicotine, and you know I'm in town, like, and nobody's getting it for you, you're too whatever, you're like, you're just in for the night, but you want a pack of cigs or vapes or whatever, and you know, like, I'm doing comedy.
You will
at the
enable
terminal.
those addictions.
Yes, so like my limits, because I don't want.
Dopamine,
I'm
caffeine,
in
nicotine.
custody battles. Like I've got stuff
no,
going
those are
on.
good. Those are legal, okay limits.
Caffeine.
Yeah.
So if you want my energy, dopamine. So this, I should probably get this in an official order to make a real joke. So like, if you want dopamine, like Tory's brand of dopamine, like text me, brother.
Yeah.
If you want caffeine, and you know I'm like at the terminal down the street, and like probably out and about, and I don't get super drunk or high when I'm out. Like I'm appropriate. I tell people I'm mostly California sober. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know what California sober is, there's like 1,400 rap songs called it. My favorite song called California Sober is by a pop punk female fronted band called Yours Truly. So if you want to know what it is, listen to that. It's a good song. And then I smoke weed occasionally, and I'll only kind of drink half of a beer if somebody buys it for. Like I don't spend money on alcohol, but like I don't.
I know. I offered you a drink tonight.
I don't ever get drunk.
I can attest to that.
I don't ever get drunk in public. I have accidentally gotten drunk in private in the last week, but like I'm not telling that story. That was just for me.
Only human.
That was just a Tory moment.
So become a pastor.
Oh gosh.
Life's going great.
Yes.
And then this all goes back to like what I said. Like, so you,
Yeah.
what are you doing for a living now? And you said I'm pretending to be a rich person, but I've noticed you doing stand up and performance music, and you play guitar. So you're an entertainer.
So this is actually your fault. So the question you really wanted to ask was, how are you surviving besides shoplifting
That's a separate
at Target?
question that I asked you. I was like, how are you sustaining this?
Sweet. Okay, cool. So you want to know like, how do I get money if I need it?
How are you getting by?
Perfect. Okay. So if I'm going to answer your question, do I shoplift at Target? I'm going to answer that in like the Toryest way possible. Can I not enter legally Walmart or Sam's Club until October 24th, 2025? Yes. Is there other like context to that story that would like make you not think what you're thinking right now? Also, yes. End of that discussion.
I want to also preface this by saying I never asked you
I know
if you stole from Target.
That's how I wanted to answer that question. That was for me, not you or you guys.
But like, so how are you getting by? Where are you living right now?
So this is actually a beautiful story. So I'm going to do my best not to cry. I'm a very like, even when I'm not a little bit buzzed or just having fun, like my emotions run high. I'm an emotional man.
And if it's too much, you don't have to answer any question.
I do like crying, so I'm going to try not to. For me, again, like this is what people don't get. So I'm dope because like I love me the most, but like I'm working on like appropriately and not narcissistically loving me. So like that's my battle, and whatever you see or think I post or that I'm doing or that I'm performing, like all I want is more time with my 4 daughters. And like, so if I offend you on accident, like I am sorry. If I'm doing it on purpose, it might be for your good and you just don't see it right now, and you'll think about it later, be like, oh gosh, Tory was actually trying to help. And like, that's the real, right? Like, that's Tory Paino. That's not fucking Tory Piano. So, and we can totally post that. Like, that's me. So, like, if you ever worried about me, like, be like, dude, like, is this for your daughters? And if I say yes, then, like, leave me alone. Like, I've got it. Like, that's how I would want somebody like you, and honestly, you, buddy, like, if you're worried about me, like, shoot me a text and be like, hey, man, I saw this or heard this. Like, are you okay? Or then, like, I'll know that that's you, like, not trying to get dirt on me to use against me, but that's you being like, hey, man, Subway Tunnel, like, we're in, like, the Ninja Turtles bust in the sewers. Like, do you want some pizza and a pop and chat? And, like, I need more of those people in my life right now, and not, like, the people trying to, like, give me really good advice and I know love me, but like do not understand what like the universe is trying to like make me into for like a season of my life. Like I've got more, I wouldn't even say control. I've got more awareness of like who I've been made to be. And like when I say that, I'm like, we're all
we can take a break.
No, I'm good. I'm really good. Just give me a second. We're all oh, I do love nicotine.
Okay, there you go.
You get me. Sean already get. I knew Sean got me the second we like. The first time I made him laugh, I was like, "Shit, we're best friends." Yeah. Like I knew almost immediately.
I knew. Yeah, me too. I was like, I
ignored you for 2 hours to test you. I was like,
you were testing.
Oh, I test everybody. I call it the friendship test. I'm constantly running friendship.
I didn't think
tests.
you were ignoring me. I thought we were distracted. So we won't go into the details of how we met.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Okay.
Just say, like, we were there for a reason.
It was Christmas Eve, and we went.
Was it? Oh gosh, you know the
We
details.
went to a bar.
I don't even. Yeah,
That's it. We went to a bar on Christmas Eve.
And like immediately we're like, oh, are we sad or happy tonight? And we're like, we're here.
It only took like 4 sentences.
No, it was super quick. Like within probably 15 seconds, not exaggerating. I was like, I will see this man again.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, man. That must be tough.
It's
so,
like.
So you said you have 4 daughters.
So that's a good thing to talk about. Yeah. So I don't want to get into details.
Okay.
And I'm trying to. So I started comedy last October. I quit. This is a joke in real life because everything I say on stage are real stories or real things I've thought, and I'm purposely sharing pretty like explicit details about my thoughts or like too much about stories on purpose to see like how they sit.
Oh, okay.
So like it's both. So I'm so neurotic that I've like, again, so I'm somebody that like so after my divorce I'll get back to my daughters. After my divorce I couldn't watch like narrative. I couldn't watch or I couldn't partake. What would you say? Receive. I couldn't engage with narratives.
Other people's of
any
criticism, judgment, perspective.
So like media. So books.
Okay.
TV shows.
Okay.
So like I was seeing like like everything was like my story. So like I watched a rom-com and I was like I didn't even make that big of a mistake and they got back together in the end. And I'm just like, so like
hyper transposing yourself into the stories you were.
And then like it got so bad that I was like every character all at once. And then it got so bad that I was the director. And then it got so bad that I was like, when I watched a movie, I was like, oh, I'm the Big Bang in the universe that Earth exists, that movie was created.
Sounding a little like Psychosis in Mania.
And this was immediately after my separation. You know what I mean? So like this is like when I was the most like the veil of my mental stability, whatever I don't care what labels we use. Like this is just I'm trying to find the most general ones.
Snapped. COVID, losing a family.
So like September, a phone call in the morning, cops are in my house. I don't even remember the second that, and I've gotten good at telling these details in the appropriate ways. So this is my story. I know my ex-wife has a different version of events, but this is how I remember it 3.5 years later. And I'm going to be very careful with the details.
Please do it.
There was a phone call. I knew it was to the police. The first thing I thought was, my life as I know it is over. And I get to choose to like lay down and take it or like figure it out. And like when this all happened in like a split second, I was immediately like, I've survived up till this point. Like I'll figure it out. It's going to take longer. This is going to be really painful, but like I'm going to go for it. And then within a second, I turned around and sprinted to a car that was parked outside where my $3,000 Martin guitar was. Because I figured in that moment as I had ran in that fraction of a second, I was like, I'm assuming there's going to be police here soon. I don't necessarily know. I had just been woken up. I was groggy. Like I snapped into consciousness the second I knew a phone call was being placed on my ex-wife's cell phone. Ran out to get my guitar, brought it inside, knew I was probably going to the hospital or jail for at least 24 hours, and then I'd rebuild stuff the next day or whatever, but I wanted my guitar. I didn't want her to like freak out and be mad at me and break something that was really meaningful to me, so I went and hid it in the basement, and by the time I walked back upstairs, there was like 3 or 4 police officers in my house. And, like, by that time, I'd had maybe 90 seconds to like, as I'm doing something that's important to me and like, just neurotically being like, how do I prepare for what's about to be up there? And like, I did so good, man. Like, and there's probably body cam footage, but like I was really stressed. I was talking really fast, which I've always done. Like, that's not crazy. And they're like just starting to label me, and I'm asking all the right questions because I've been a YouTube watcher since 2008. So like I looked at them right. I did exactly what they asked me to do. I was like, I don't really know what's going on. I just know it's serious, and there's a lot of things. Like I was as calm as I could be, like probably close to this level calm, like tears, like freaking out, like am I losing everything right now, including myself? But like I knew I couldn't like say that. I talked to him for like 45 minutes, man. I kept asking, am I being detained? I was like, then can I go back in and start my job in 20 minutes? Because I'm a remote worker. I need to get on the computer and keep my day job to support my family. And they go, no, you can't go back in. And they wouldn't tell me anything else. And so I called my dad after sitting outside of my house on my stoop. And I go, Dad, this is the situation. Britt and I got into a fight last night, and she called the cops, and I'm trying to do my best, but I'm really scared. Should I get in the cop car, or should I, like, stand out here and stand up for my rights? And he goes, Tori, you should get in the cop car. And I ended up sitting in the cop car, and they let me have my phone, and like, so like I knew I wasn't being like arrested, I wasn't in cuffs, so I was just like sitting, I was behind the passenger seat in the cop car, and this was the first time I'd ever been like forced in a cop car, and I'm 36, man. Like, I was a pretty good dude. I did some stupid shit with cars and as a teenager, but like speeding tickets,
Yeah,
careless
who
driving
didn't?
was kind of like
Yeah.
the max that I hit. And like, I'm in the back of this cop car, and I'm like looking at my family home at that time, owned by my wife's uncle, who lived next door in Gilbert, Minnesota, by the liquor store and a strip club down the block, like podunk, pure Minnesota Iron Range town. And I had this moment, and this is what started my first, now I call it my panic attack. I go, this is the last like frame, like picture frame, like Norman Rockwell, like through this windshield, like picture my life as like Tory James Paino, husband of Brittany Lee Paino, father of Devin Isley Paino, Dawson Isla Paino, Danny Iris Paino, and Delta Ivy Paino. Like, I knew at that moment that everything I'd worked for 36 years, 1 month, and 7 days was basically ashes. And I had to decide in that moment, and I didn't know this, like the same thing I decided when she called the cops, like, am I ready for this? Or like, am I ready to be done? And that's when my panic attack happened. So I don't believe in like visions, but if I had one, like this was one. Cosmic sync. So it wasn't space, it was the blackest black. I can't describe it. Blackest black is the closest.
Yeah.
It was like an industrial sink, but it was like porcelain with a broken pipe. And so like the pipe came down like about a foot or what. So think of just like a porcelain sink with a silver pipe, broken pipe, kind of jagged. I had like a weird view. It's just in this black frame. So it's just this like cartoon level porcelain sink almost.
And this is all in your head.
All in my head. And it was maybe a 10-second vision if I had to like put real 3D time on it. So I just had that thought about like, oh, everything I built's done. Am I doing this or not? And then boom, I have this vision. Every color imaginable and then unimaginable is, can I get toilet paper or tissue?
Would you mind just grabbing him some toilet paper, please, Zach? Thank you.
And I can retell this vision too, but I do have this.
No, take a hit. It depends. Just take a breath. Take a breath, man. So the vision, the sync.
Yeah. So I was in the back of the cop car. I had a brief kind of moment where I was like, this is the last time like I'm me as I've been for 36 years, like family man, like trying to make it work, 4 daughters, wife, like pretty typical relationship in life up to that point. Like lower middle class is like, I was a pretty typical lower middle class white Christian suburban kid. Like that's a really good cliche description of me. Sitting in this cop car, I see this vision after I have like kind of that moment where like, oh crap, it's over. I see the blackest black. I see this kind of porcelain sink with a silver pipe broken, and there's all these colors swirling around it, and it's like in space, but there's no size. You get in the space, there's no stars, and it's the blackest black, and all these colors, every color you can imagine, and every color you can't, like every spectrum that does and doesn't exist is swirling around. And I'm like, oh crap, when that water falls out that pipe into the blackness, because I'm seeing it like trickle out the broken pipe, I'm like, I die. And it took about 10, 20 seconds, and it drained like a normal sink would drain regular water. And everything was just the dark, the sink went away. Everything was the blackest black. And it was the best way to describe it. And I think you love Jurassic Park, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think I might have told this version of events. I had, it was like the computer coming back on after Samuel L. Jackson like died, and then like Lex or whatever like hits the switch or whatever, like the beep, 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 beep. It was like the old DOS black screen with like the 3 green dots like going like beep, 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 or like a heart monitor is a good way to describe it. And then my first thought was, oh crap, I didn't die.
Shit, I'm still alive.
So that, yep. Oh shit, I'm still alive was honestly like my comedian brain at 36, 1 month and 1 week
Something
old,
I'd say.
losing everything, being like, oh no, I now get to choose to rebuild or destroy everything again.
Yeah.
Like I'm the superhero or the supervillain. So that was my last ego. That was my biggest ego death. And my goal is that's my biggest psychic death, social suicide, panic attack. Like I want that one to be like, oh, that was my Mount Vesuvius. Like, oh, that was my Mount St. Helens. Like everything's going to be calmer eventually now that I've had kind of this eruption and like now I get to go find the home in the valley mentally.
What year did that happen then? It was 2022?
It was September 16th, 2021. So a year and a half into the pandemic.
Okay. And then I'm assuming they took you to the hospital.
Yep. So I ended up 24 hours in the Virginia emergency room with my phone.
Wow.
So I have video footage that I took, like interviews that I've never shown anybody, of like 5 minutes of me kind of just talking about like where I was mentally in that moment. And I know I'm sitting on gold, but I've waited for a long time to like figure out who I want to either give it to, or do I just put it in a Google Drive and share it with my daughters when they're 18.
Well, so it was a 24-hour hold, and then that turned into...
So this was a Thursday morning. Okay. So I end up getting to the Virginia hospital. So I spend the night in the Virginia ER, early morning on that Friday. So Friday the 17th of September 2021, I get transported to Hibbing for a 72-hour suicide hold. And since it was a weekend hours don't count. So they got me till Tuesday. Oh my God. They told me that. They told me that in the morning. I was like, I get it, but I don't like it, you guys.
We don't work weekends. It's like, what the fuck? So what
like,
do I do?
I'm here. I was like, well, who's feeding me? No, that was a fun. Oh my gosh. What's funny is they were trying to hire me as an EMT on my route to the suicide.
Oh, really?
They're like, if you get through this, like apply. I'm like I still win people over when I'm like dealing with trauma. Mm-hmm. So that was my, so then I spent, they actually released me like 6 hours earlier than my official 70. They released me like Tuesday morning. So I stayed 3.5 days, and like I'm like again, I jokingly on the stage called a grippy sock vacation, but
so
a mental ward in Hibbing.
They didn't send you anywhere after that. You didn't get committed.
So and I talk a lot. So like the first 24 hours I was in the mental ward, I didn't say a word. And then I got the lay of the land, and this is gonna sound really bad. I'm a comedian, guys. Like I was like, okay, so these people are legitimately crazy. I'm gonna learn from them and figure out if I'm legitimately crazy. Is that like this is the most? Is this you get it? Okay, that's all I need to know.
Oh no, I get it.
Perfect.
We'll talk more about that after the podcast.
All right, and then and so then I made my goals, and my goal was like I'm gonna be like really really honest. I'm not gonna trick anybody. Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell the nurses exactly. I'm gonna play a role, but like I'm not gonna be deceptive.
Yeah, and action.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like I was like, because my ego death made me like realize the world's a stage and I can be whoever I want to be wherever I want to be them.
Makes you wonder if Shakespeare might have had one of those.
And so what I tell people, real people, when I have real conversations is like the best way to describe me is like I'm an agent for the light. Like I choose heads most of the time. Like I'm not perfect.
You're a good guy.
I try,
I can attest.
I try to be a good guy.
I'm an extremely good judge of character.
Am I around like evil things sometimes? Yeah. Sure. Am I making like really good decisions most of the time? Like the answer is yes. And like the persona that I'm projecting on social media or even in just public spaces with more than like people that I trust, like that's a version of me, and I'm actually trying to trigger everybody because I'm like the reverse Monsters Inc. Like I'm choosing screams right now because they're easier to get than laughs. Is that diabolical? Okay.
No. So what you're saying is
I'm nega Monsters Inc. Like, I'm nega Monsters Inc. I'm for the capitalist overlord in Monsters Inc.
So what you're telling me is sometimes you're playing a character, a role, and people like think it's just you because of the way social media is formatted, and so they don't understand you're literally your own reality TV show. You're playing a character. I've dealt with that severely. I've had the same thing happen to me.
You need to do some talking at the end of this
My episode's coming out next month.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. So this is my turn still?
Yeah, it's your turn. Right. No, I can relate. I just wanted to say you're not alone.
Like my heart, like I don't know if you believe in shock. No, hold on. You're Buddhist.
I practice Buddhism.
All right. What do you know about Hinduism?
Some of the gods.
All right, then tell me, like, again, I don't care what frame we use, but like, I want to speak your language for a second. Like, are you an energy guy? Are you a chakra guy? Like, what's your like frame of like? Because I'm telling you that like your response to what I just said, like, I'm feeling crazy heart energy right now.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you feel it?
That's
like,
right here.
Like, there's a like. Yeah. We got like a Donnie Darko thing, like. Like our little water spout is like connected right now.
And this level of connection cannot be sustained for too long. No, so let's enjoy the wave while we have it.
No, this is called like a friendship high. We should label this right now.
Oh, the amount I want to just talk to you and not listen is insane, but like you need a chance to tell your story. Okay, so we'll talk after.
I want to talk more mental health stuff.
So you got released.
Yep. No, I want to go back. So my goal after like the 24 hours of kind of laying the land in the mental ward in Hibbing, and this is like September 17th through 21st or 20th, 2021. I was like, I need to get out of here without a diagnosis. and I need to get out of here without a medical prescription, like without a pharmaceutical prescription. So that was just the game plan that like I had set
Why
for
were
myself.
you so concerned about those two things?
So I'm the best way to describe me is a contrarian naturally. So if you know Dan Cole, the Common Man on K-Fan, like if you tell me what you think I'm capable of, I'm either going to disappoint you harder or I'm going to impress you like more than you ever thought
It's like
possible.
contrarianism.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like what's the opposite of a stoic? I don't know. You know what I mean?
An artist.
That's a good
because they're stoic
Dude,
artists.
no, that's your first mug. What's the opposite of a stoic? An artist. That's kind of a dope saying.
That's pretty good.
No, I like that.
So you wanted no diagnosis and no prescription. Were you worried about the stigma of that came with those two things?
So what I realized this is actually gold. What I realized in my watching phase was the last thing that I could do as somebody that like, so my ex-wife was immediately putting the bipolar label on me, like publicly, like once I got to the hospital. So her explanation for what happened is Tory said some crazy things. He's looking into bipolar. He's thinking he might be bipolar. We'd had some mental health conversations leading up to this. So she's not lying to them. She's just picking certain triggering words to label me to kind of protect her as she was in the unknown of like, is Tory okay or not?
I don't think it was a negative intent.
Exactly. So if I thought it was a negative intent, my attitude toward her right now would be very different than I think you can feel that it is. Totally. If I had to describe my orientation towards my ex-wife, like that Carry You On song by Alex Warren, we should listen to it at some point. I don't know if we're not supposed to do it on the
copyright afterwards.
Yeah. So like basically the theme of the song is like, oh, I hope you know I will carry you home, whether it's tonight or 55 years down the road. And like, so like that's all you need to know. Okay. So like, I listen to that song when like I'm really upset or disappointed at her. Like I don't get mad or angry anymore, but like I get disappointed and frustrated a lot. Yeah. And there's been a lot of like, it's been 3.5 years of a custody battle with 4 girls and a 3-hour difference and the potential of emotional affair, like just normal kind of suburban white people stuff. Like none of us really did anything horrible. Like none of us did anything that I would determine worthy of like the repercussions on both sides. Like in my opinion, I've had it worse. Like I've almost died a couple times by my own hand and by other people's hands. And like that can be a later episode, but like I've had some dark moments by myself and in public in the last 3.5 years. And like, I don't think anybody truly understands what I've survived. And I'm actually protecting all of you by like just carrying that stuff.
You're not protecting anyone by holding on to that. I have to be honest.
I know, but I need to see a therapist again. I'm waiting for a men's shirt. If somebody wants to pay for a month of BetterHelp, like that would actually be dope. Like literally buy me BetterHelp for a month.
I will give you a session. No, I'm dead ass right now. I will give you one of my sessions.
There's got to be some sort of promo.
No, dead ass. Do you want one?
Like
we
I've
can
been
schedule
waiting.
it after this.
It's been a year. I've been waiting to find the right therapist. I also need therapy recommendations.
On my dead mother, I'm getting you a session this month for free.
My goal is to start traveling 50% of the time in June for comedy, music, and just other things. And so like I need to have real friends that like will let me get high and watch Rick and Morty with them once a month when I'm in town. Come and support me at Terminal. You know what I mean? Just come have fun with me. Like just real appropriate. Like once a month. Like
real friends are hard to find.
Newsflash. I'm aware I'm good in small doses, guys.
Hey,
like,
knowing's half the
people
battle.
constantly tell me I have, and they go, Tory, this isn't negative, and I don't want to offend you. Somebody said this to me on my way here today, and a guy I really like, and I really like. He goes, Tory, I don't want to offend you. Your energy is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's one of the best compliments. Like as a person, I appreciate. Like, please
Thank
remind.
you.
Yes. Like your job now is to
Yeah.
just give me some sort of signal if I'm in public or in private where it's like, Tory, you're at like an 11.
Tory, believe it or not, Sean's the same way.
We need you at a 6.5.
And I've been training really hard to settle down.
I'm saying if we're ever like out and about on the night and it's like 1:45 and we're deciding where to end up, like if we end up at your place and you just tell me, hey, Tor, like just chill a little bit.
I wouldn't do that because I would match you. You and me can never go full force together.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Ever.
Wait, are we Highlanders? How long can we stay
There can
together?
only be one.
Are we Hancock?
Like
who's
4
Charlize
hour
Theron?
max
Are you Will
interactions.
Smith or Charlize Theron? Oh, let me put a bow in my Men in Black. My Men in Black. So Men in Black is a security.
We're going back to the Men in Black.
No, this is a good almost finish this.
Quick.
So Men in Black are like they're the security guards that are dressed like cops. They're all black dudes. It started in like Brooklyn Center or Brooklyn Park. Basically, they hang out in the seediest neighborhoods at like gas stations and Burger Kings and just try to hold people accountable with their presence. Okay. So the secret I'm going to tell you, and this is a quick one, how you win over a man in black who his job is to be intimidating. I can make them laugh in 10 seconds. Oh gosh, I want to remember how I say this. Basically, I just make like a Will Smith and Men in Black reference where I was like, oh man, I thought you were Will Smith for a second. Boom.
Ooh, that's
it
a risky
breaks
one.
them. No, it like, I mean, again, feel it out. I'm saying like
feel it out.
85% of the time, like the dude's
Okay.
kind of a ripped and like he
Right.
loves Will Smith. Like I'm not, this is a stereotype that exists for a reason.
Right.
Like which black dude at some point in his life didn't like a version of Will Smith? So like, if you make a Will Smith reference to a man in black security guard in a seedy gas station in Minneapolis or St. Paul,
Odds are good.
Odds are good he's like at least not gonna like case you for stealing a Gatorade.
Right.
Like you've won him over like a little more than most people. That's the secret.
Okay, you're talking psychology.
No,
Okay, let's circle back. I really want to touch on this because you said that you really didn't want the diagnosis
Yes.
and the medication because your wife was kind of already dabbling with using it against you. But when I first met you,
Yep.
we linked because you said I'm bipolar type 1.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point did you get and accept the diagnosis?
So I've got two things, and I'm gonna keep it short. So the first thing is that in my watching, I realized that I could not say I wasn't crazy. So like once the bipolar thing started floating around, I realized the last thing I could say in like a public forum of any sort, social media, in a hospital, or like any place that could be overheard by somebody I don't trust, I could not say that I'm not bipolar. So saying I'm not crazy is the first. It's like the initial
Right.
physical evidence of the Holy Spirit. It's
Right.
it's the speaking in tongues for mental illness. Saying I'm not bipolar
It's the saying that people who are crazy don't know they're crazy.
correct.
Okay.
So like I learned that quick, and I've been very careful. So and then my second thing quick. So what I say when people say, "Oh, what have you been diagnosed for? How are you neurodivergent?" However it comes up often. My answer for that diagnosis, because I've had 3 official ones, is I have been diagnosed with bipolar. I don't currently identify as bipolar.
So you've been diagnosed,
One time, yes.
but you don't like genuinely accept that diagnosis.
So like I've spent 3.5 years trying to figure out like, so I was this way my whole life, and I'm not saying that like, so if I'm bipolar, it is a neurodivergence because like I was born with it. So like if there's anybody out there that like is fine with my level of crazy for an appropriate amount of time, like I'd love to actually uncork like legitimately like I'm neurotic as all get out. I'm a chronic overthinker that like also has this weird bleeding heart for everybody. So like I haven't met a lot of people like, and I really work on being humble, like at my level of neuroticism. And I'm trying to use that as like
you're not bragging about it.
correct.
You're like
it's yeah, I love Green Day. So why wouldn't I call myself neurotic?
Okay. Okay.
You can like I'm neurotic, like listen to Basket Case, like that song was written about
someone woke
me.
you up when September came.
Shut up.
If
We
you went to the hospital,
we
no.
could only talk like, no, take this to your grave. No, I am the movie. It's fine.
Well, bipolar diagnoses are weird because they overlap and there's so many. They're like spectrums on top of spectrums. The
and they
biggest
keep
Venn
adding. There's like a
diagram
4
ever.
now. There's a 4 now.
Like they
They haven't even named 3 officially, and there's a 4 now.
Yeah. But bipolar you can have a manic episode and be bipolar, but then live a completely normal life.
No,
after.
for sure.
Like
Have you
Carrie
watched
Fisher, Russell Brand, Demi Lovato?
Don't name them. I've studied them all. No. Marry mental illness and pop culture, and like let's start our own podcast. I'm dead.
Most recently, Amanda Bynes. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I've watched the whole. I love watching other people burn their life down while I slowly rebuild mine. It's one of those like little like I'm sorry, girl, but like.
Go me.
I don't have to do that level of crazy now.
Yeah.
Like I'm friends with a lot of like legitimately insane people. I'm legitimately insane. I'm just
Well, are
good
we
insane.
friends?
I'm
legitimately insane.
I can't wait. So I should say this first. So I haven't met anybody in my entire life, and I've met some very important and powerful people that I didn't think I could eventually outwit. So like that sounds like a very prideful very prideful statement, but I am like the Leoist Leo, and you guys. And when I say you guys,
love a Leo.
when I say you guys, I mean like everybody that would ever
You're
meet
clever.
me or hear this.
Clever girl.
I'm saying I'm more like the Prince and the Pauper than I am like Zeus.
Right.
So like I'm both Zeus like and Hercules. So I have the power of the Russell Crowe in Thor's horrible Love and Thunder. So like I'm Russell Crowe, but then like I don't even.
So who
like,
do you think could challenge your wit?
Oh God, like locally or like in the world?
Anywhere, either. Do you know of someone who
I'm gonna start low. I'm gonna start low.
Yeah.
So like so I have like a Mount Rushmore of comedians, and like I've been sandbagging the comedians for like 13 months, and some of them have gotten onto it and are not fans of me. But like my 4 favorite, like semi-local, some of them nationally tour comedians. So Tommy Ryman is at the top of my list. He's based here, been doing comedy for 20 years. Starting today, I think was his 20-year anniversary. He went up on Acme in 2005 on January 4th or whatever. Like he just posted a picture. So follow Tommy Ryman. He's just released his 4th special. I went and saw one of the tapings. Like he's the perfect dude to like take a girl on a date too in Minneapolis if he's doing a show, and he does like he's at open mics. Like if you like hit me up, you'll find him if you want to find him.
We'll throw it down.
Tommy Ryman's dope. He has a friend named Chad Daniels. I haven't met Chad, so I don't know him in person, but people say Tommy and Chad are the best. I love Chell Borgen. He's touring. I like Isaac Milton Whitty. I don't know what he goes by now. And the last one is like Ira Ford is kind of a local legend.
So all these people are comparable, you think?
So, but they're all like you could find a $10 showcase for most of these people. Like you're not spending more than $30 to get in per ticket for any of those 4. So like that's like I'm a local band promoter. Do you get what I'm saying? Like. Right. Google Shane Gillis, like Google Nate Bargatze. I'm not gonna tell you to find Eliza Schlesinger. Like those are the 4 that like I would like go out of my way to drop $30 to like see live.
So you don't formally accept your diagnosis. You think it's bigger.
Honestly, like it's kind of a bit because I'm using like trans language on purpose. Because people can't so if I want to end a so with you, I would talk about bipolar until the end of time. Yeah. But most people are trying to like use it against me in some way.
I'm not one of them.
I know, but I'm saying like by default, I assume any information about my mental health is going to be used against me in the court of law because it has for 3.5 years.
Right, which is why I said if you think it's bridging on that, just
I'm
stop.
Nope. So
This is just important to me because I was also diagnosed bipolar type 1, went through a very similar path as you, rejected the diagnosis, did not accept it, was like, what's going on, what happened? Because it happened to me at 33, 32. Yeah. And it took a long time, but after about 4 years,
How many years have you been dealing with it?
Set for the last 4.5, 5 years.
So you're like you're about 1.5 to 2 years ahead of me on your journey.
And it was about that time where I'm like, I accept it. Right. I'm bipolar.
Really quick. It's not all your fault, man.
No, it's not our fault, dude.
But we're doing the best we can.
Look, we're doing pretty great. We're recording a podcast.
Like, this is one of the best moments of my life. Great. Like, cheers. Yeah. I hope this comes out some way. Like, send it to me at least.
Oh, you're giving it
if
all.
None of this is usable, at least text me like a clip so I remember.
So are you medication free? Nothing at all? Aside from, I don't know, like Mary Jane or...
So again, I want to if we do this another time in the future, I would like to save my, I have 2 significant attempt stories, so I don't want to slide into that. But medication wise, so like the only times I actually like planned is the term I want to use. So like planned an attempt was 2 to 3 months on Abilify, which is an antipsychotic primarily. Okay. And it's in my opinion and research and how it worked with me. So like I'm not a doctor. I'm describing my experience in research. I'm not prescribing shit, and I never do. So if I'm giving you advice, like it's free. It's like a fortune.
Everybody's body's different.
If you want to rip up the fortune and throw it away or leave it in your car and forget about it for 6 years, like that, so anything I ever say publicly or privately, to be honest, treat it like a fortune cookie. Like I'm going to say it's in your cookie, have some sugar and then some good advice. Take it or leave it.
It's the comment on a Reddit section. Like, read it, and it's up to you where you go for it.
Sort by controversial, you'll find me there. Yeah. Like I'm not going to be high or low. I'm controversial.
And it's very true. Lots of antipsychotics and antidepressants. One of the biggest side effects is
motivation,
which is kind of counterproductive.
Motivation. So I boiled it down. I don't say it. So there's the main side effect for me
motivates
was it motivates me to like go to work, make a cup of coffee, and think about ending my life.
Okay.
So it's like so the first 2 are like decent. The third one's like a little dark for like a motivator. Like let's move that like down the list of side. Like coffee's good, going to work's good. Trying to like end it all like just like a little too dark for like a Tuesday morning.
So you don't take any over-the-counter medication?
So I have enough that I've either like didn't finish a bottle, so like I have access. So I'll occasionally take trazodone if I don't feel like I can quiet my mind. Totally. But I've gotten really good at my grounding techniques, and like I have a safe cocoon. Nobody knows where I'm actually sleeping most nights. That's kind of my goal.
And don't take my advice on this, but I do believe, I'm a firm believer, is studying Buddhism, that with enough grounding and DBT and therapy and mindfulness, you can.
All right.
You can do it all.
This is actually a super good way to get close to finishing it. So just give me a timeline.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Have you done, so I got to the point where like I studied like all the grounding techniques, found the ones that like I was really natural at, and then like kept like adding more to like expand my like repertoire. So if I'm a pitcher, like, oh, like I want to learn that one as like a slider.
Your
Oh, I want to
skills,
slow down
your tricks,
like my
whatever.
yes. So like, or Zelda, like you start out with Zelda with like a net and a lamp, and you have to like find the fire. So like, if my mental health was like a Zelda game, like my inventory is kind of ridiculous. And even though like I'm grabbing the boomerang or like the thing that like drags you, the chain, what's the hook?
Oh, the hook shot.
Hook shot, yeah. So like even though like I probably use the hook shot to like beat those weird guards over and over again just because it's funny. Like so like I have tools that like I grab and use like all the time. But like if I need to like get weird with like one of the like the single use items,
dig in that bag.
So like I'm basically mentally prepared for almost like I still get surprised occasionally, but like even that doesn't worry me because like again mentally and physically I've been through so much. Like I compare it to like we are now veterans of the mental illness war, and so like we have trauma from that, but we've also like survived it all up until now.
Fuck yeah, bro, let's go.
And if we get into the valleys, so like sometimes we're like either at the peak of the mountain or in the valley or in the storm or what, you know what I mean? Whether we get the imagery, say last story. Like we've survived everything up until now. If that doesn't give us confidence that like it's all going to work out in the end for us, I don't know what will. The best joke I've heard in the last month was at a Bible study in Inver Grove Heights. This dude goes, he's like 74. I don't remember, I'm not going to say his name, but he goes, I think I'm a pantheologist. And he talks really slow. And he goes, I'm a pantheologist. I just think it's all going to pan out. It was very Matthew McConaughey. No.
I might steal that one.
No, like take it.
Yeah,
like I'm not going to, like,
good.
if you make any money off it, like I'll slip him 100.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a dope dude. Like, but he's just an old Minnesota dude, divorced. Like,
fuck yeah.
He's got like like I love hanging around like 20-year-old. Like, so I'm going to turn 40 next year, August 9th. So I'm 39. I dated an esthetician after my divorce. She was a hoarder. I broke up with her, but I kept like $600 of moisturizer. So like when people are like, Tory, you look 32, I'm like, thank you, Jessa.
Cocoa butter
Yeah. She wouldn't let me make her an omelet because I had to do 6 months worth of dishes. But like she taught me how to keep care of my skin. Yeah. Like thank you, like Jessa. It was a fun couple months. Like, I appreciate you more than you know.
All right. Well, we're getting close to the end. I just have a couple more just wrap up questions.
Lightning round.
Just off topic for fun. What are your thoughts on like the construct of fate, destiny versus free will? So how much of life do you think is up to us and our choices, and how much do you think is predetermined, if at all, especially with your background in religion?
Yeah. So we could probably talk for 10 hours on this. I'm going to
give me Cliff Notes.
I'm going to give you 20 seconds.
Okay.
So if I had to if I had to stamp my approval tonight, right now, I know people will watch this later, but like right now, this is what I think. All of our decisions are predetermined like a spreadsheet, like a Google Sheets. And honestly, it's more of a database. So like we are the matrix. We are our own simulation. Every eventuality is possible, but like we have to stay grounded. So like we're in this one. I don't care what version of what multiverse you think you're in when you're high or when you're at a certain bar or listening to a certain, like those are cool. But if you don't know how to get back to Earth, brother, without drugs,
you're going to lose your mind.
Correct.
Yep.
So like, we
could have a whole episode just on that.
I do not hear me. I am mostly California sober. I've experimented with things that I don't want to ever get addicted to in my time in the public in the last year. So like I'm not perfect, but like I've made enough mistakes to know like what to be careful. Like I know where all the traps are in this early 90s video game. Like I've played this level so much that like I can breeze through whatever you guys are worried about. I do encounter things I can't handle, but I'm so good at adapting, and I'm such a pattern recognizer that like if somebody I don't know steps up to me in a weird way, I'm pretty quick at fleeing. I'm a good fleer, and I always do that first when there's violence or aggression that I'm not expecting. So I'm good at fleeing, and like I'm mostly a pacifist, but if I had to like pick like a discipline, like I'm definitely like a Miyagi. So like I'll let a drunk guy like break his knuckles on a window, but I'm not gonna lay a finger on you unless it's life or death. Yeah. And like so if you're gonna kill me, my close friends or my family, like I would do something that I wouldn't ever do.
Right.
But like
extreme
I am
circumstances.
by definition Ooh, this is a bit. This is the end of my talking. Unless
Okay,
you're
come
pretty
on.
next one. All right. So evangelical, agnostic, anarchist, but I'm also I'm a silver linings pacifist. So like, if I had 5 labels
That's
for
the name
me,
of a punk band if I ever heard it.
or an album,
An album,
an
yeah,
EP,
yeah,
an
for
EP.
sure.
Oh my god, yeah, that's definitely my emo EP that I'm releasing in two months.
Okay, one last question. It's a fun one. If someone had to play you in the movie about your life, who would you pick? Who would play Tory?
This is gonna be weird. So my female twin, born on the same day and year as me.
You got a twin. I didn't know you.
I would Anna, if you ever watch this, Anna Kendrick was born August 9th, 1985. So if there's a female version of me out there, it's going to be a lot like Anna Kendrick.
Twin.
So like her, like studying my mannerisms and doing like a gender swapped version. Like, so she's a male version of me, but she's her playing me.
Okay.
So if she Robert Downey Jr.'d me, I would actually like, let's crowdfund that.
Yeah.
That would actually be a dope, like, you're the producer on this movie.
I would do anything.
We
to
could
get
even just do a skit.
within 10 feet of her.
We could do a skit. No,
Okay.
Anna,
Great.
this is your chance. Like, do you want to help
Yeah,
two
'cause Anna's never gonna see
bipolar
this.
ones? Do you want to help 2 bipolar ones?
Sorry, man.
Think
Hey, dude,
we're
thank
awesome.
you so much for sharing. Like,
I appreciate
you've
it.
been through some shit. And
We all have. We all have.
I know, but like, especially you, and like, especially me. Like, I don't want to be
Don't make
narcissistic.
me feel important, Sean.
No, but
That's-
your story's important, and I
that's
feel like it could help someone hearing like what you've been through and like seeing like how great of a person you are, because you genuinely are an amazing fucking person. So
I've learned like I'm choosing compassion. Like that's
it's a choice.
So like every morning when I wake up and I decide I'm nobody, I'm like, I'm still gonna figure out how to like love me first so I can love other people
Choose
today
love.
appropriately.
What did Marley say?
If I'm loving you too hard, Sean, tell me, please.
will.
Okay.
Don't
I
worry.
love
I don't think
clear
it's possible.
boundaries, consent. So humility, boundaries, consent, clear communication. And like if we're that, like we ride or die.
Well, I think you're choosing. I'm going to butcher the Marley quote, but it's like, if the people trying to destroy the world every day aren't taking a day off, why should I?
Oh gosh. Oh yikes. Okay.
paraphrasing,
Well, I just felt that in the upper heart. So that was like an upper chest chakra.
All right, thank you for the last part. Can I get you a picture and throw you up on the wall,
For
legends?
sure, man.
All right,
For sure. Oh wait, am I just sitting here? Hold on.
pose pretty.
Oh, I'm gonna do this one. This is an authentic 1980s youth pastor core jacket. Wait, I want dogwood coffee in
All
there.
right. Sexy. Thank you, Tori. It's a pleasure. We're going to have a completely separate conversation now.
The aftercast.
The aftercast.
Social suicide podcast.